The movie opens by showing three teenage brothers, who are listening to a recording that is quite strange for a vocabulary lesson, where some words are replaced with something quite inconsequential, and far different from the actual meaning. They look bored, but still listen to the contents of the recording until it is finished. A car was cruising. Inside, an old man was chatting with a girl in a uniformed security guard who was blindfolded. The girl's name was Christina. They came to a hill that lead to a mansion. The house is surrounded by a high fence and is very isolated from the outside world. The house is also the only world for the three teenagers, and the old man is their father. Christina's blindfold was removed. She was taken to the room of the boy who had never been given a name. All the children in that family had no names. To make it easier to explain, so I will assign each of them a name. The father was named Robert, the mother was named Laura, the boy was named David, the oldest daughter was named Mia, and the youngest daughter was named Lily. It was not for nothing that Christina was brought into the house. Robert asked Christina to fulfill David's biological needs, and would get paid for it. Before Christina went home, she took the time to chat with Mia. Then recorded a video with their family. The three teenagers' days were very organized because they were scheduled by their parents. At certain hours, they would learn lessons just like in school. The difference was that these lessons were given by their mother and in her own way. They were also taught how to fight and defend. Their father and mother really had absolute control over their lives. When dinner came, they would dress very neatly and politely. It was a rule also made by their parents. Each of their behaviors would be rated in the form of stickers. And the owner of the most stickers would be the winner, who had the right to choose what kind of entertainment to do after dinner. Such was their daily routine. David often talked towards the fence. Thinking behind it was someone who their parents said was the oldest child in the family. No one suspected that it was a made-up lie. Like innocent little children, the three children just believed every word their parents said. However, punishment applied to them even for trivial mistakes. David was made to hold mouthwash in his mouth for a few moments, for throwing a stone over the fence. And Mia was slapped, for misspeaking. Their father was the only one who could leave the house to go to work. He worked in a factory. Christina also works there as security. The house is very quiet. There is not much for them to do during the recess before lessons start. Lily was reading a book about human organs, when Mia came in and complained about her stomach hurting. Lily was apparently good at biological sciences and medicine. She examined her sister and gave some suggestions for her sister's condition to improve. Then they played around with the anesthetic that Lily had. Robert was chatting in the factory with his coworker who started asking about Laura's condition. Robert lied by saying that his wife had an accident, and did not want to see anyone because of her handicapped condition. Although his coworker suggested that his wife use a wheelchair to go out, he insisted that she was embarrassed and did not want to do so. Laura, who was at home, secretly called the office using the landline she had hidden in the safe, reporting the condition of Mia, who had a stomachache. While Mia, who was curious because her mother was talking to herself in the room, peeked through the door and eavesdropped on the conversation. After returning from office, Robert came to the dog training center and intended to take his dog. But the trainer did not allow it, because their training had not been completed and had only reached the second stage. Robert gave up. He saw that his pet dog named Rex did not want to respond to his call, making Robert completely undo the intention to take it until the training was completed. The next day, the children played a game. They were blindfolded and had to find their mother. Laura kept counting the time spent until they found her. The game was over. They had some free time. Mia sneaked in to get some food from the kitchen, and gave it to her brother who was outside the fence. A few days later, Christina is brought back to the house to serve the son in that weird family. Finished with her duties, she sneaks into Mia's room. She offers an exchange for a headband that she says will light up if kept somewhere dark. At first, Mia gives her items to offer such as a pencil and a meter. But Christina refuses and wants something else. She wants to be licked. And Mia complies. It was then modeled and practiced again on her sister with the same reward. So Lily licked her shoulder like a dog. Their family was not always harmonious. Although the three children were adults, they behaved like children. Mia and David fought in the yard over a toy airplane. Mia, who was upset, ran and threw the toy airplane out the gate, to a place that could not be reached by any of the three of them, because they were not allowed outside the fence. The quarrel didn't end there. When David walked into the house, Mia, holding a knife, slashed his arm suddenly. David screamed in pain. Laura got angry and dragged Mia to her room while hitting her. While Mia was locked up in her room, David and Lily chatted by the pool. Lily suggested that David ask their father to get the toy airplane that was thrown outside the fence. He was doing it. When his father had just come home from work, David greeted his father in the yard and asked to fetch his toy airplane. Robert made up the story that the world outside the fence was very dangerous, and that he had to use a car just to get out. So to retrieve the airplane, which was not far away, he had to use a car so that his son would not suspect his lie. Everyone was asleep and the day was very late indeed. David woke up because he heard voices and moved to his parents' room. His big body lit up in the middle of his mother and father. Then hugged his father. The next morning, David saw a cat on the lawn. He who had never seen or known what the creature really was became afraid. David went to get a pair of grass clippers and killed the cat. The two daughters, who saw that, screamed in terror. Laura told Robert, who was in the factory, about what happened at home. It was their chance to stop lying about their brother being outside the fence. But they ended up telling another lie. Robert came home with his shirt torn and covered in red paint. He said that their brother was dead, and the cat in the yard was the one who had torn him to pieces. The father gave his 3 children the doctrine that cats were savage creatures that could kill them if they were outside the fence. He said they should prepare themselves in case the cats invaded their house. Robert started barking like a dog, followed by his wife and children. Then they held a mourning ceremony. Dressed all in black, they threw flowers out over the fence and said the last words for their dead brother. The sadness was really visible on the faces of the 3 children. They continued their days with more and more training and studying, until news came from their father that their mother was pregnant, and would give birth to 2 children and a dog. The 3 children were not happy with the presence of human younger siblings because they did not want to share the room with them. Their parents told them that they didn't need to share the room if they behaved well and improved in their training. After practice, Laura threw the toy airplane into the yard. She asked her children to fight over that toy airplane. Indirectly, their parents let their children compete with each other. Even Mia did not hesitate to knock David down to get the toy airplane. But on the other hand, the children became obedient to any order given to them. Coming home from work, Robert brought fish and put them in the pool. Lily, who first saw the fish in the pool, called her father and asked him to catch those fish. Robert dived in with a spear and caught the fish. During dinner time, Robert asked questions about the productive ages of women and men. Also questions about when one is allowed to go outside the fence and drive a car. The question was answered by all 3 children with the same answer, which was when their canine teeth fall out. The question ends, as Mia asks the meaning of the word whore that she has just discovered. Laura answers with another strange vocabulary, telling her that whore means lamp. Before the children start asking about other things that parents think are bad, Robert invites them to listen to a song whose meaning he has changed himself, giving them another meaning. The children believe it and start dancing to the music. Christina came in during the day, told him about her dream last night, and said that in her dream David became a zombie. Words that David had actually just heard. Finished with David, Christina sneaked back into Mia's room, offered hair oil, so that Mia would want to lick her again. But Mia refused. She was not interested in the hair oil, and wanted the VHS tapes that were in Christina's bag. At first Christina refused to give the tapes. But Mia threatened her that she would report what she had done. So she was forced to give the tapes on the condition that they be returned next week. While in the kitchen, David asked his mother about the vocabulary he had just heard. Again the answer was a strange meaning. Laura said that a zombie is a little yellow flower. But hearing that answer was enough to satisfy him. At midnight, because he heard voices from the living room, Robert came out of the room. Mia had just finished watching Christina's VHS tape. Before her father arrived, she quickly turned off the TV and hid the tape. She confessed to her father that she just couldn't sleep and was scared. Robert calmed her down, but the tape really affected her. Since that night, she began to talk to herself often and follow what she saw in the movie, pretending to be a shark and scaring David. Because of her strangeness, she was caught by her father keeping the tape from Christina. She got punished by being beaten on her head using the tape. Her face held pain and her screams were stifled. After the punishment, she went to Lily's room and said that she wanted to be called Bruce, a name she heard in the movie. So from that day on, Lily called her Bruce. Christina got into trouble because Mia was caught getting tapes from her. Robert went to Christina's house and hit her with a tape player, because she had been a bad influence on his children. Robert said that he hoped Christina's children would get a bad influence like what happened to his children. A commotion broke out in the middle of the night. David was screaming in pain. When their parents arrived in the room, Lily said that a cat had hit David in the knee with a hammer and then jumped out of the window. Even though they knew Lily was lying, he chose to slap David on the grounds that he had taken no precautions. When things calmed down and the children returned to their rooms, Laura tried to hold back her tears in the kitchen because she saw her children. They talked quietly to each other and said that they could no longer trust anyone, and that they should replace Christina with one of their daughters. David was the one to choose, so he chose Mia. That night at their parents' wedding anniversary, after Lily stopped dancing to the sound of David's guitar strumming, Mia started dancing wildly and stopped when her mother dragged her to sit on a bench. She ate cake while panting. Then everyone fell asleep from exhaustion that night. Except Mia, who tried making her canines appear by hitting them using a barbell. She succeeded. Unnoticed by anyone, she walked out of the house and into the trunk of the car. Robert only realized that Mia was gone after Lily woke him up and asked for the spear gun he used to catch fish. He went to the bathroom and saw a sink covered in blood and a dislodged canine tooth. Immediately he ran outside the fence and looked for Mia. But to no avail. Laura and her 2 children also searched by barking. While Lily called Brush's name, no one answered. Laura is saddened by her daughter's disappearance. But Robert comforts her by saying he will pick up the dog tomorrow. Still, no one knows that Mia is actually in the trunk of the car. Even when Robert leaves for the factory, that trunk never opens again. And the movie was over.
So what do you think about this movie? If you like it, please click like and leave a comment for this video. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a video from Allo Recaps. See you next video.